In the heart of Guatemala's bustling capital, something opened beneath the streets that looked like a portal to another world. In 2007 and again in 2010, the ground suddenly dropped away, revealing a near-perfect circular void over 300 feet deep and about 65 feet wide. It wasn't an earthquake, it wasn't even a typical sinkhole, it was something far stranger. At first glance, it looked like a movie set something from Stranger Things or, a sci-fi thriller where the Earth simply gives up. And yet, this wasn't special effects. Entire buildings, power lines, and an intersection were just gone, swallowed in seconds. The sheer symmetry of the hole made people question if it had been artificially created. But the truth lies in a dangerous mix of natural geology and human error. Guatemala City is built on layers of soft volcanic pumice rock that's light, porous, and vulnerable when exposed to flowing water. Over time, heavy rainfall and leaking underground pipes eroded the soft layers beneath the surface. What formed underneath was an unseen chamber, a massive cavity waiting to collapse. And that's exactly what happened. When the hole opened in 2010, it wasn't caused by one big storm. It followed Tropical Storm Agatha, yes, but the main culprit was years of silent erosion. Old drainage systems cracked, and water-carrying debris bored through the soft volcanic base like a pressure washer on full blast. What's terrifying is how suddenly it all occurred. People in nearby buildings heard a low rumble, then silence, then a massive thud as tons of concrete, cars, and earth vanished. The government filled it in with thousands of tons of cement, and the area has since been reinforced. But to this day, locals are uneasy. Not just because of what happened, but because there's no guarantee it won't happen again. The city still sits on soft volcanic ash, and infrastructure struggles to keep up with the population. New leaks can lead to new collapses, and no one can say when or where. In the eastern reaches of the Democratic Republic of Congo, there's a volcano that doesn't just erupt at races. Mount Nyiragongo is home to the fastest-moving lava ever recorded. It can surge downhill at speeds over 60 miles per hour. That's fast enough to outrun a car stuck in traffic, and far beyond anything you'd expect from molten rock. What makes Nyiragongo so explosive is its chemistry. The lava here is unusually low in silica, making it extremely fluid, almost like hot syrup. When the pressure builds in the crater fractures, the lava doesn't ooze. It bursts. Entire hillsides glow red as rivers of fire carve through everything in their path. One of its most famous eruptions happened in the early 2000s, when lava poured into the nearby city of Goma with almost no warning. It reached the airport runway in minutes. The ground split open in the middle of streets. Buildings, power lines, and roads melted into the flow. And the threat hasn't gone away. Deep within the volcano lies one of the world's few permanent lava lakes, a cauldron of fire constantly bubbling, shifting, and climbing higher. Scientists monitor its depth because when it rises too far, it means the volcano is getting ready again. Unlike many volcanoes that give off smoke for days or weeks before they erupt, Nyiragongo is stealthy. It can go from quiet to catastrophic in under an hour. When it does, there's no time to gather belongings or make decisions. You either move fast or you're surrounded. In late 2018, part of the volcano Anak Krakatoa collapsed into the sea. Not just a few rocks or cliffs, nearly half of the island slid into the ocean in a matter of moments. That single event reshaped the coastline, triggered a massive tsunami, and left behind something truly haunting, a torn, fractured shore where land used to be solid. It looked like the earth had cracked open like dry clay, revealing the violence that had happened beneath the waves. What happened at Anak Krakatoa was more than a volcanic eruption. It was a structural failure. The side of the mountain gave way, and the surrounding land followed. When the debris plunged into the sea, it caused a powerful surge outward, but what remained was just as eerie broken terrain, scattered trees, and a beach that no longer looked like a beach. Geologists later analyzed satellite images and drone footage, showing enormous scars carved into the coastlines that stretched from land straight into the ocean. In some areas, it looked like a fault had been ripped wide open, splitting the earth in two. This image you're seeing now reflects that kind of moment. Events like this used to seem rare. Now they're becoming part of the conversation when experts talk about coastal instability. In other parts of the world, especially where land is built atop weak sediment or near underwater volcanoes, similar signs are showing up: minor but growing cracks in beach zones, subtle collapses that hint at something deeper. Anak Krakatoa wasn't just a one-time disaster. It might have been a preview of how fast things can change when the ocean meets restless ground. Up in northern Minnesota, tucked inside Judge C.R. Magny State Park, there's this river that, well, does something really weird. It splits in two. One half just keeps on flowing downstream like you'd expect, but the other half, it just vanishes. The water plunges into this massive hole in the rock called the Devil's Kettle, and honestly, it's never seen again. For years, nobody could figure out where the water went. Folks tried everything, pouring dye into it, tossing in ping pong balls, even dropping GPS trackers, but nothing ever came back. It was like watching part of the river fall into, I don't know, another dimension. People started coming up with all sorts of theories. Some thought maybe it connected to some underground cave system that emptied out miles away. Others figured it might reappear in Lake Superior, way downstream. But yeah, nobody had any proof. The hole just swallowed everything and gave nothing back. Then, not too long ago, scientists decided to try something new. Using these fancy water flow sensors, they found out that the disappearing water probably rejoins the river underground. Not through some giant secret tunnel, but by slipping through porous volcanic rock before popping back up farther along the riverbed. So the mystery actually had an answer all along, just nature was really good at hiding it. Still, standing there watching the water vanish is, well, honestly surreal. No splash, no echo, just a smooth swirl into darkness. It's the kind of place that feels like it belongs in a fantasy novel or maybe even an X-Files episode, but it's real, and you can actually visit it. Just don't drop your phone in. You're definitely not getting it back. Antarctica may look silent and still, but beneath its icy surface, a quiet destruction is unfolding. Gigantic cracks, some longer than the Empire State Building, laid end to end, are ripping through the continent's massive ice shelves. These aren't surface-level fractures. They reach deep, clean through layers of glacial ice, forming canyons wide enough to swallow a freight train. One of the most watched is the Brunt Ice Shelf, where a crack named Chasm 1 slowly inched forward for years, then suddenly fractured, breaking off an iceberg twice the size of New York City. These are not slow-motion events anymore. In some cases, satellite data shows the ice shifting dozens of feet in a single day. The danger isn't just the icebergs themselves, it's what they leave behind. When a shelf breaks off, it destabilizes everything connected to it. Like a book pulled from a tight shelf, the rest starts to fall. That's how even interior glaciers, hundreds of miles from the ocean, can suddenly start surging forward. Some scientists call it a domino collapse. These cracks are massive and beautiful, but they're also signs that parts of Antarctica are entering a period of deep instability. And once a break begins, there's no pausing it. The process is powered not just by rising temperatures, but also by shifting pressures below the surface, hidden until the moment they tear through the ice with the force of a frozen landslide. Explorers have reported standing near some of these chasms and hearing the ice creak like an old ship straining against the waves. It's quiet out there, until it isn't. At the foot of Mount Fuji lies a forest unlike any other. Aokigahara, known in Japan as the Sea of Trees, is so densely packed that even the wind struggles to pass through. The canopy is so thick, sunlight barely reaches the mossy floor. Step in too far and the sound disappears, no birds, no insects, just silence that feels almost engineered. What makes Aokigahara so unnerving isn't just the quiet, it's how easy it is to get lost. Compasses don't always work here due to the high iron content in the volcanic soil. Trails vanish without warning. GPS signals flicker or fail. Even experienced hikers mark their paths with ribbons or string, just in case. Beneath the forest lies ancient lava from a Mount Fuji eruption centuries ago. That lava hardened into twisting caves and sinkholes covered in soft moss, which can suddenly give way underfoot. There are stories of hikers vanishing without a trace, despite being just minutes from the entrance. And then there's the atmosphere of feeling that something isn't quite right. It's no wonder this forest has become the focus of countless urban legends, horror films, and ghost stories. Aokigahara has appeared in everything from Japanese folklore to American thrillers. Even the producers of the Forest movie admitted the place felt too quiet to be natural. Still, it's not cursed or haunted, it's geological. It's environmental. It's a forest grown atop volcanic scars where nature is both stunning and sharp-edged. The danger here isn't a creature in the trees. It's the forest itself, vast, beautiful, and willing to swallow you whole if you take one wrong step. In the middle of Turkmenistan's Karakum Desert, a hole burns day and night, without pause. It's called the Darvaza gas crater, but most people know it by a more chilling name, the Gate to Hell. It glows like the sun at midnight, with flames dancing from every inch of its 230 feet wide opening. It looks like something from a sci-fi movie, but, it's real. Back in the 1970s, Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas when the ground beneath their rig collapsed. A pocket of methane had opened into a cavern, swallowing equipment and creating a massive hole. Fearing toxic gas release, the team set it on fire, expecting the flames to burn off the fuel within days. That was over 50 years ago. It's still burning. No one knows exactly how much gas is trapped below, or how long it'll keep feeding the flames. The crater has become an unplanned landmark glowing in the dark desert, seen from miles away like a beacon from another planet. Standing near the edge, the heat is overwhelming. The ground hums. There's no fence, no barrier, just open desert and a hole that breathes fire. The glow warps the air like a mirage, but the danger is real. Any misstep near the edge and it's straight down into a pit of flame. Turkmenistan once considered putting the fire out. Now they've accepted it. The crater has become part of the land, a flaming monument to what happens when human ambition meets unpredictable Earth. It wasn't supposed to burn this long, but it does. And honestly, it shows no sign of stopping. On the Indonesian island of Sumatra, one volcano has turned eruptions into a habit. Mount Sinabung spent centuries in silence until it suddenly reawakened in the 21st century. Since then, it has erupted again and again, sometimes months apart, sometimes within days. There's barely time to breathe before it shakes the sky once more. The volcano doesn't just spit ash. It throws massive pyroclastic flows, fast-moving clouds of hot gas, rock, and volcanic debris that rush down the slopes at highway speeds. These flows are what make Sinabung especially dangerous. They're unpredictable, nearly impossible to outrun, and they can flatten forests in seconds. Unlike other well-known volcanoes that build pressure for years, Sinabung seems to reload rapidly. Its activity is linked to the volatile tectonic setting of the Ring of Fire, the same zone that powers Mount Fuji, Krakatoa, and dozens of others. But, few erupt as consistently or as stubbornly as this one. Volcanologists monitor it constantly using thermal cameras and seismic sensors. At times, the summit glows red with fresh magma, even when skies above are clear and still. It's as if the mountain is alive, restless, smoldering, waiting for its next breath of chaos. The eerie part? Entire villages have been abandoned, left to decay in the ash. Buildings stand intact but covered in layers of gray, like a forgotten set from a post-apocalyptic film. Sinabung doesn't roar just once. It keeps talking and no one knows when it'll stop. Deep in the Siberian tundra, enormous craters have appeared, violent, fresh, and surrounded by debris. These aren't sinkholes, they're explosions. Holes as wide as a football field have blasted upward from the earth, hurling soil and rock hundreds of feet away. And no one saw them coming. The cause? Methane. As permafrost thaws due to warming temperatures, methane gas trapped underground builds pressure. Eventually, the frozen ground can no longer contain it, and it bursts. The result looks like something out of the X-Files' huge, circular voids with scorched edges and jagged walls, as if something detonated from below. One of the most infamous cases was discovered in the Amal Peninsula. Locals reported hearing strange rumblings, followed by distant booms. When researchers arrived, they found a crater so deep, drones struggled to reach the bottom. There was no warning, no fire, just raw force cracking through the tundra. Dozens more have been found since, some tiny, others massive, and they're getting more frequent. Scientists believe they're an emerging phenomenon tied directly to the thawing of ancient permafrost, which holds not just methane but other trapped gases that haven't seen daylight in tens of thousands of years. There's something chilling about seeing Earth explode upward without any human involvement. Just time, pressure, and chemistry. The Siberian craters remind us that even the coldest, quietest landscapes can erupt with terrifying power when the balance underground finally breaks. Off the coast of Belize lies a circle of ocean so deep and dark, it looks like the eye of the planet. The Great Blue Hole is nearly 1,000 feet wide and over 400 feet deep, a giant vertical cave submerged in the middle of a shallow reef. From above, it's hypnotic, but beneath the surface, it's a descent into an alien world. This isn't just a hole, it's a collapsed limestone cavern that formed during the last ice age when sea levels were much lower. As the ocean rose, the cave filled with water and became part of the sea. But the structure remains sharp-edged, steep, and full of secrets. Divers who descend past 100 feet report strange formations, underwater stalactites, hanging in perfect silence, eerie shadows, and an almost total absence of life. At greater depths, oxygen vanishes and the water turns toxic due to layers of hydrogen sulfide. It becomes a no-go zone even for most marine creatures. Exploration of the blue hole revealed something else, a layer of fallen rock at the bottom, possibly indicating that part of the ceiling collapsed long ago. Some scientists think the cave might still be unstable and that more collapses could happen over time. Famous explorer Jacques Cousteau once called it one of the top diving sites in the world, but it's also one of the most dangerous. Equipment failures, unexpected currents, and the sheer depth have made it a place of both wonder and risk. From the sky, it's a perfect circle. But up close, it's a portal into a place that feels untouched, and maybe best left alone. Vesuvius is one of the most famous volcanoes in the world, and honestly, one of the most watched for good reason. It's still active, still growing, and, well, still positioned alarmingly close to a major city. Over 3 million people live within reach of its impact zone, many of them right in Naples, nestled in the shadow of the mountain. Everyone knows about Pompeii. What fewer people realize is that Vesuvius hasn't gone silent. Its last eruption was in the mid-20th century, and since then, it's been quietly rebuilding pressure. Scientists monitoring it have detected seismic tremors, chemical shifts in gas output, and changes in temperature, all signs that the volcano remains very much alive. Unlike volcanoes with more predictable behavior, Vesuvius is a stratovolcano, meaning its eruptions are often explosive. Lava is just one part of the threat. The real danger comes from pyroclastic surges burning clouds of ash and gas that can move faster than a race car and obliterate everything in their path. That's what buried Pompeii in ancient times. Today, the mountain is surrounded by evacuation zones, early warning systems, and contingency plans. But even with modern technology, there's still uncertainty. The time between signs and eruption might be days or hours. That's why Vesuvius is labeled one of the most dangerous volcanoes on Earth. Not because it erupts all the time, but because of what happens when it finally does. It stands in the distance like a quiet threat, one that hasn't been forgotten, just waiting for its turn again. Deep in the South Pacific, on a remote island in Vanuatu, there's a place where Earth's molten core is exposed to the open air. It's called the Marum Crater, one of only a handful of places on the planet where you can stand on the edge of a glowing lava lake. The heat blasts up from below like a jet engine, and the roar of molten rock echoes into the sky. Marum is part of the Ambrim volcano system, which has been active for years, producing continuous lava activity inside the crater. But this isn't like watching from a helicopter or miles away. Adventurers, researchers, and film crews have actually hiked into the caldera, getting within shouting distance of the boiling lake of lava. The descent is brutal. The terrain is unstable, with razor-sharp volcanic rock and clouds of acidic gas. Oxygen thins, heat intensifies, and the noise becomes overwhelming, a low-frequency rumble that seems to vibrate through your chest. Protective gear is mandatory, and even then, it's a high-risk expedition. What makes Marum so fascinating is its consistency. While many lava lakes appear and disappear, this one has remained active for long stretches. The pool churns constantly, splashing fiery blobs high into the air like a natural fountain powered by Earth's internal engine. It's hard not to draw comparisons to scenes from Mordor or video games where the ground itself becomes the enemy. But Marum is real, and it gives scientists a rare chance to study the raw mechanics of Earth's inner heat, up close and almost uncomfortably personal. In Hawaii, fire meets water in a way that, honestly, few other places on Earth can match. Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes, and when its lava flows reach the Pacific Ocean, the results are both beautiful and, well, brutal. Steam hisses into the sky, glass-like shards fill the air, and sometimes the coastline just disappears. In 2018, Kilauea underwent a massive eruption phase that reshaped Hawaii's Big Island. Entire lava deltas, newly formed land created by lava hardening in the ocean, began collapsing. One moment, visitors stood on what looked like solid rock. The next, it cracked, dropped, and sank into the sea with a thunderous splash. The collapses didn't happen silently. Some were accompanied by explosions, waves, and sudden fireballs as trapped steam and gases burst free. The U.S. Geological Survey even issued warnings about the risk of sudden collapses, noting that just walking too close to these unstable formations could be fatal. One of the most astonishing events was the collapse of a 26-acre section of land gone in seconds. Drones captured the footage, giant slabs shearing off and plunging into the ocean like a calving glacier, only, red hot and hissing. What remains today is a reminder that even newly created Earth can vanish without warning. Kilauea is still active, the landscape is still shifting, and where lava meets sea, the rules are constantly being rewritten, often violently. When a series of powerful earthquakes rocked Southern California, it wasn't just buildings that shook, the land itself tore open. Near the small town of Trona, entire sections of desert split apart. Roads twisted like ribbons. Deep fissures zigzagged across the landscape, some stretching for miles. From above, it looked like the earth had been unzipped. The 2019 Ridgecrest earthquake sequence included 2 major quakes and thousands of aftershocks. But what made it truly unforgettable was the way it marked the ground literally. In certain spots, the terrain shifted by more than 6 feet horizontally. Fences were pulled apart. Pavement cracked like glass. Dry lake beds turned into jagged mazes. Seismologists quickly moved in to map the damage. What they found were newly exposed faults that hadn't moved in modern recorded history. The Earth's crust had adjusted, and the adjustments weren't subtle. Drone footage showed giant scars slicing across the Mojave Desert, silent but dramatic. And those lines? They didn't stop at the surface. They extended deep into the tectonic network that makes California one of the most geologically unstable places in the world. Between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico lies a patch of ocean that has captured imaginations and sparked conspiracy theories for decades. The Bermuda Triangle. A name that sounds like pure legend is grounded in one thing: strange disappearances. Ships vanish, planes go off radar, and even with modern navigation systems, things still go missing. The theories are as wild as they are varied: rogue waves, magnetic anomalies, undersea gas releases, even interference from something not entirely explainable. But beneath the mystery lies a hard truth. This area is one of the most heavily traveled and meteorologically unpredictable parts of the ocean. Sudden storms can form quickly, and the Gulf Stream's strong currents can erase evidence within hours. That said, some of the phenomena are still puzzling. Certain aircraft have reported malfunctioning instruments and strange turbulence only while flying through the triangle. Others have emerged with no memory of time loss, similar to effects dramatized in shows like Lost. Is it paranormal, or just the planet's chaotic nature playing out in one particular stretch of sea? Either way, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the few places on Earth where the unknown still feels very close to the surface. That's about it. Which of these places scared you the most? Write in the comments. For more useful information, watch other videos.